So welcome to this video of my No Planet challenge playthrough. So obviously this video will be dedicated to how I achieved the run, how I came up with it, and let's dive right into it. As the name applies, this playthrough is about not having any planet in the long run. And of course it would be too easy to just steal the habitats or ring worlds from another civilizations. We'll have to do them ourselves before the Doomsday origin finally kill our mode. And yeah, you can guess where all the difficulty of this challenge lies. Yeah, as crazy as this challenge is, it has been lying around in my mind for a while now, and it's only through the comments of one moderator from the Stellaris official Discord that I decided to make the move. And so here we are. And I must say I'm very conflicted about this challenge, because at the same time I was underestimating it, and at the other time I was overestimating it. Yeah, a lot of decisions I made are definitely questionable, but it remains another good quality run, I'd say, especially because I did it on my first try, which is, by the way, absurd given the energy this run required. And because it appeared so difficult at first glance, I didn't risk myself to go ahead and try something that wasn't very strong, or some empires that are not meta. And so I had the choice between two of the strongest empire there is, which is Techno's Slaver and Rogue Servitor. And although Techno's Slaver is so powerful right now, I decided not to play it because of the stability issues Slaves might cause with Doomsday, and also because, well, Technocracy gives a science director for each planet you have, but that means nothing if you only have one planet up to the point, and it's just before habitat, so yeah. And in the contrary, Rogue Servitor has huge stability and is Gestalt, which helps with happiness and upkeep, because machine intelligence do not suffer nearly as much as other Empire on Doomsday. They even thrive because they have increased energy output and even more alloy output, which is, yeah, you know, always a thing you want to have. And because we are playing machine, this makes expanding on some systems quite valuable, because space resources and some extra output from the space resources are going to help us in the early game. And finally, machine have access to two wonderful stilic, the plus 20% engineering output and the plus 1 research alternative, which is very useful for what we are attempting to do, which is rush habitats before our planet goes boom. And as for the traits we'll be using on our bio trophies and our robots, they're pretty standard, you can see them here. I won't go over much why they're the ones you want to take, it's pretty much straightforward. Let's go over what is required to unlock the habitat tech. And right off the bat, you can understand why this is going to be difficult. You have 0.1 weight on the whole thing to happen if the game is not 50 years long. What does that mean? Well, that means because Doomsday always happens before 50 years, we're going to have to deal with this 0.1 weight modifier, which is huge. So we actually have to make up with other weights, like if we have 3 or more star hold, it increases the odds of getting this tech by a weight modifier of 5. If we complete the expansion tradition, or if we even unlock it, it increases by 1.25. And finally, for each extra research alternative we have, it will increase our odds of course getting the habitats. So now we've come to the funny part, the one when I explain you everything that went wrong in this run. I mean, describe the run. And to clarify, I didn't plan to play on 25 Crisis because I knew this could be quite hard and I wasn't ready to fight something so huge as 25 with and so early with what I was having. And we start with a little bit of pop management. I don't want too much pop wasted into upkeeping my others. And the same goes, for example, the coordinator. I'm going to unemploy one of those bad guys because there is no point, because I'm already under the admin cap. It's just a wasted pop at this point. And of course, the good old bye-bye Hunter-Seeker drone. Okay, so right off the bat we can see that I got a Cybrex, which is going to play, let's say, a tremendous part of this playthrough. It's just going to carry us the whole game. And soon after we have the second thing that is going to carry us the game, the fact that we have the Custodian Fallen Empire right next to us, which means that eventually, once we'll be done with our homeworld, once we'll be in the habitats, we'll be able to go for other people stuff, such as for example those juicy pops and this ring world. It cannot be overstated just how strong the Custodian are when you get them. Yeah, thank you Shazarak continuance. I also want to point out that I already knew that there was the machine for Empire right there, because there is a little trick that I won't go over in this video, but basically every time I see a black hole that is on its own and is nearby me when I play machine, I can do a little trick that allows me to know if it's a Fallen Empire black hole.
Hi, how are you?
Technological acquisition successful.
Bruh.
Okay, and now, do you remember that time when I spent a good 1 minute to explain you how important weights are with the habitats and research alternatives? Well, you can throw everything at the window because everything failed. Because RNG is RNG. And what happened is, like, instead of having a Voidcraft expert in the field, instead of having the expansion done, instead of having that civic that gives +1 research alternatives, and instead of having the 3 Starhold up and ready, they were actually still upgrading. What happened? There is a random materials expertise scientist that actually discovered habitats before the poor Voidcraft guy. So I had this whole scenario in my head like, hello, do you need these blueprints? Oh yeah, sure, I'll take those blueprints. It's not like the lives of our biotrophies depended on those blueprints, right? At this point I was kinda buffered and, let's say, stunned by what happened, and this probably impacted for the better the rest of my playthrough. I was basically going quite carefree, to say the least. And to make the matter worse, of course it had to be the very first tier 3 tech I had. You wanna know the best? It's not even close how I managed to survive and go in space. The window I had before my planet blew up was actually quite tight, which means I only had 2 or 3 more opportunities to get habitats in the tier 3 techs, or I was done for. Here you can see a happy Frenchman evolving in his natural environment, giving random names and, most importantly, French names to his habitats, like some kind of kid's name is Pencils. At this point, you would be right to assume that this run was already won. Except for one thing, actually, because recently Paradox decided that machine were a bit too much. But what happened with a machine is that their main source of amenities were kinda removed actually. The primary source of amenities was coming from the replicator, which now provides none. And to top it off, they no longer have the maintenance hub, which is a building that provided amenity job, and instead got them still on the district actually. You might think this is great, except when you forget to put more amenity drones on the habitat districts. And yeah, on top of having to deal with all the unemployment I had from the evacuation of Ash, homeworld, I also had to deal with dire amenities issues. We are only covered by the fact that Rock Saboteur has stupid stability. And if I was playing basically any other machine up here, I would have died right there, I suppose, because there is no way to recover from. I mean, there's probably a way, but it would take so long to recover from such economic deficit. And of course, the prime difference between being a void dweller and some metal rock worshippers that decided they were too good for planet is that you do not have blockers that upkeep your habitats for you. And add on top of that the fact that you have to field some replicators to still have growth, and you realize that you are in literal deficit of alloys without even having a fleet, which is wow. The best part about this, we can simply ignore alloys because there is no penalties to our habitats or even our growth by having an alloy deficit, which is an issue because we cannot have a pool of alloys that we will use for conquest or something. Instead, we are going to have to choose one thing that very valuable that we acquired earlier, which is a Cyberx relic. And through that Cyberx relic, we are going to slowly but surely build our fleet. And like that, we'll have a fleet ready to take on the Fallen Empires directly, instead of, about the other AIs, It's not an understatement to say that they were one of the most painfully mind-numbing AIs I had to deal with, and the reason can be summarized by two things. They didn't want greater than ourselves, and they were significantly stronger than me. In fact, one of them was the Hive Mind, and Hive Mind on the latest Paradox patch, which is 2.7 for this playthrough, Hive Mind and the new AI are a very strong combination. They basically, according to me, they're the strongest AI in the game because they can have so much tech and field so much fleet, and they're not even total war, which means you can't backstab them or something, which is, my trademark, and it's not working. So what am I going to do against that? But now it is time to address the elephant in the room. But first, if you haven't seen this battle yet, please take a seat.
Hostile stationary asset engaged. Alert. Hostile fleet assets detected. Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Alright, so to defend myself here, I was kinda expecting the thing to blow up. Not to such proportions, mind you, but I was expecting it to not go very well. I was trying to limit test here, and it actually backfired worse than I expected, and the reason is because I direly underestimated the power of the Fallen Empire destroyers. You will see that this very thing is going to repeat itself later against Praetorian destroyers, and trust me, you do not want to mess with those ships if you do not know what you're doing. I mean, the numbers speaks for themselves. You can see that even though proton launchers and neutron launchers are super effective, those ships just had too much evasion, and they managed to soak way too much damage from their battleship, which allowed them to output an insane DPS against my own fleet. Of course, I could have won if I had picked the anti-Fallen Empire Assassin perk, but again, I was kinda limit testing. Yes, limit testing in a challenge. Very smart, goodness. But yeah, that was the thought process behind this. Right now, the save is in standby. I consider it won, but the truth is the Praetorian managed to deal significant damage to my ships at the last second, and I didn't bother bringing it back and wasting more time on this because it was, although it was very fun in the end, it was starting to become mind-numbing with, you know, Stellaris usual late game issues and the redundancy of having to chase the Praetorian everywhere. And yep. What I learned from this game is don't underestimate Praetorian and Fallen Empire destroyers. They're not really to be messed with, even though unless you have an overwhelming force. And other than that, challenges overall are very fine additions to Stellaris if you to spice things up, and I'm glad that the Stellaris official made their own version of challenges. I'm already participating to them, and I recommend you to do the same. The Stellaris Discord is quite accessible, and the challenge themselves are as well. Finally, final declaration about robot gestalts and habitats. Paradox, please do something. Ironman needs a bit less help because they do have a harmony tradition for that. But robot is a disaster, you need to do something, please. That's pretty much it now. I'd say if you want to try to do the same thing, good luck to you. But don't feel too forced to do it because honestly it's more an RNG game than anything. And I'm surprised I managed to do it first try. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and this took some time, so I suppose this time I should say subscribe and like.
Technological acquisition successful.
Bye bye.